everybody, Pam with Normalize Cloth. Today is day one of the Flats and Hand Washing Challenge for 2021. This year it's hosted by Bailey with the Cloth Diaper Podcast, so there's a link in the description box if you want to know a little more information about what exactly the Flats and Hand Washing Challenge is. Honestly, I'm amazed I'm even getting this much, this video done, because today has already been crazy busy. She had a doctor's appointment this morning, and I had to go grocery shopping, and I had to get my hair cut because it'd been long overdue for a haircut. Hooray! And today's going all right, and that's pretty good considering my grandmother was watching most of my kids while I was gone and watching her so I could get my hair cut after her appointment. And she used the flats and the covers without problem. Bailey has different topics that we can discuss about each day, and it's just a recommendation. You can talk about whatever you want, but I really like the questions that she posed and the topics that she suggested. So I'm just going to stick with her topics and the questions she asked, because I like them. I think they're very good questions to discuss about. So generally the topic for today is, why do you use cloth diapers? If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that it's for financial reasons. I was not the crunchy mama. I still don't consider myself really a crunchy mama, although a lot of people look at me and my lifestyle and they're like, oh, you're crunchy because you use handkerchiefs and you don't, you use flour sack towels instead of paper towels. What's the matter? And you use cloth diapers, especially. That's the big one. And it's well, I use those things because I'm frugal and I'm cheap. I don't use those because so much as I'm trying to save the earth, so much as just save my wallet. But our finances did improve, and I still use cloth diapers. And why? Because, well, for starters, I already have them. Two, I don't find them that difficult to use. It's not so difficult that the second our finances were good, I was like, oh, good thing. I'm so glad I'm getting disposables now. So I just stick to the cloth diapers because I already have them. They're easy enough for me. I don't mind them. I love them. They're already paid for. They're super cute, and they don't stink. I didn't realize how bad disposables stunk until I switched to cloth, and now it's whenever I, on the rare occasion that I use disposables, it's I'll just use my cloth diapers now. Another question she asked is, why consider flats? And this kind of ties into my list of reasons why I love flats. Because they're economic. Because flats, you can customize the fit. You can honestly make them as complex or simple as you want. You can just fold them into a rectangle, or you can fold them a specific way to put it on your baby so that it absorbs the most. You can use it with pins, a snappy, a boingo, or nothing. You don't technically need anything to use flats anymore, unlike our predecessors who used flats. Flats also have come a long way in terms of size, absorbency. The textile alone is you have so many options now that didn't exist 50 years ago. They're also one of the trimmer cloth diaper options out there. And besides being cheap and besides being able to get a custom fit on them, one of my biggest reasons I really love flat diapers is because they are incredibly easy to wash and super fast dry. Flats are incredibly user-friendly. They wash out really well because it's just one single layer. What's the matter? They're incredibly easy to wash because they wash out really well, being one single layer, and then they dry really fast because, again, one single layer. So they take a little extra time to fold, but honestly, you can fold a bunch of them all at once when you do laundry. It's not any different than folding any other laundry, and then you can just stack them and use them as you need them, which is what I do. It's too bad you're so fussy. It's too bad you're so fussy. Yes, you are. Look at all that fussiness. You're making me a liar, You're so cute. Yes, you are. So, these same flats, too, I'm using on Juniper as I'm using on Holtwood. And I've been using them for several years now for these challenges, and then, even in just my everyday life. They work. They fit a really diverse range of children. They're almost a foolproof weighted cloth diaper because you can make them fit and you can make them wash well. They just work really well. And especially for overnights when you have really saturated diapers, inserts and pre-folds can be difficult to wash all of that urine out of effectively, be it by hand or by machine. And so what's nice about flats is they open up and allow it so you don't have to put a lot of effort into rinsing them by hand to get them cleaned out. They rinse out really well all on their own. So generally, I just really love flats. And honestly, that's why people should consider flats, and consider them seriously. This is my first time cloth diapering too, since the first time I did the challenge 3 years ago. And it's going surprisingly well considering. So the benefits of cloth diapering, you don't have to buy any more disposables. That's the big one. You're good with what you have. And that was the reason I switched, was so that I could free myself from the burden of having to constantly afford disposables, especially during that time in my life when income was very wishy-washy. and we were actually relatively poor. I mean, there were some periods of time where we sold our possessions to pay bills, and you do what you gotta do, and I don't look back at those things begrudgingly at all. And in fact, I look back at my early cloth diapering days where I was hand washing every night so that diapers would be ready the next day. I look back at those memories fondly, and that's why I get excited to do the Flats Challenge, because it reminds me kind of my humble beginnings, and it reminds me of how blessed I am now. It also kind of gives me that perspective again, because when you're in that moment, you do what you have to do, and you don't, I mean, personally, I didn't look at it like a burden. Other people might, but I didn't at the time. It seems more burdensome to me now that I have the luxury of conveniences. But when I didn't, having the freedom from the financial burden of affording disposables made the extra work welcomed, because I never realized how bad my anxiety was until I no longer had to worry about it. So ultimately, what convinced me to try cloth diapering, I had a friend recommend them to me because I knew that she knew that I was financially struggling. What's ironic about it, in a sense, is that she recommended Grovia, saying like you get what you pay for and you should invest in quality. Like if I had used them, I wouldn't have been able to afford to switch if I had to use those. So I just used Alva's because that's what was affordable to me. And they lasted longer than my Grovia, which was funny. But a friend recommended them to me, and so I was like, okay, I'll look into it. I very quickly got overwhelmed. I was like, I can't do this. This is too much. I don't even know what all these acronyms are, all these styles that they're talking about. I don't know what I need, how many I need, how to do it. It was just so overwhelming that I gave up. But then a couple months later, I felt really pressed to look into it. We would have had the same struggles with affording diapers if I hadn't have switched. But a huge part of it was curiosity and stubbornness. Like I felt that press on my heart to look into it more. And I did, and I got really frustrated again, but I was really curious and I was really stubborn, and that's when I realized, I'm a visual learner. I ought to look and see if there's any videos on YouTube. And there were, and that I watched over 100 hours of videos before I made my first purchase. And so I think what convinced me to use cloth was a combination of a recommendation from a friend who let me know that, hey, they're a modern option, paired with my stubbornness not to give up and looking it up. It really does. I look back and I say, oh, well, it was actually relatively easy. I was just overwhelmed by so much all at once. And that's all it is. Like you discover as you look into cloth diapers more, at first you're just like, ah! And then you realize, oh, this ain't bad at all. Like it's just a lot of acronyms and terms, but once you understand what they are, then it's easy. It was those YouTube videos that really, I think, won me over in the end. It was being able to visually see and understand cloth diapers that made me say, okay, I think I can do this. And actually, because of those videos, I was able to make a pretty smart purchase. Like I realized, okay, I'm gonna be hand washing, but I also have a really twitchy child, and so I invested in pocket style diapers with flats, and I'm still using those flats to this day 5 years later. So honestly, Alva pocket diapers are quite amazing. That's part of why I took to YouTube too, even though being on YouTube makes me completely uncomfortable and I don't feel like myself. In fact, if you watch some of my early videos, you can tell I'm completely uncomfortable being in front of a camera of any kind, and I still am, just slightly less, because I'm like, you know what, whatever. The point is I'm conveying information, and this is why I came to YouTube, was because I realized YouTube is a really good avenue for helping people understand, especially if you're a visual learner like I am, how to use cloth diapers. So if you're doing the Flats and Hand Washing Challenge and you're making like blog posts or videos or reels on Instagram or TikTok videos or whatever, put your information down in the comment section below, because I'd love to follow different people on their journeys as they go through it and see their experience, because it really is eye-opening. It helps us all understand better different circumstances and experiences and how people, I've learned so many like tips and tricks from people that way too, and so I love to follow along. So post your information below if you're participating in the challenge, and I look forward to seeing y'all's posts. If you want to follow along with me, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like this video if you found it helpful, and have a blessed day. We're going to take Fussy inside because Fussy is fussy, and fussy probably means to eat.